Hi guys, welcome back to my craft desk. Today I'm going to show you how to make this really simple folio. You can decorate it as you want, and it is really simple because all you need is 2 sheets of the same patterned paper to do it. So you can actually do it with any size paper really. What I'm going to show you here, I made with 2 12 by 12s and I cut them down. But you can do it with a sheet of A4 paper. It's up to you. As you can see, it's a really cute little folio. You have a pocket here, you have a pocket here, a little waterfall with a pocket underneath, and it's really simple to make. So I'm going to show you that today. All you're going to really need is 2 sheets of paper and some form of glue. Either a paper trimmer or a decent pair of scissors, depending on how good your measuring is, and that's about it. So we're going to start with 2 pieces of paper. Make sure that top to bottom is 8 inches, and then this is however wide you want your folio to be. So all you're going to do is take both edges and fold them in half. You can score this if you want to be precise about it on your score board, and just give that a good burnish, and you're going to do exactly the same with this other one. So just fold it in half on the longer side. So in this case I'm using 10-inch paper, so it's 5 wide and 8 down. So these are going to create the 2 pages of our little folio. So decide which side of your paper you want to be on the outside and which you want to be on the inside. I think this stamp is going to be on the outside in mine, and this pink on the inside. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these. This will become clear why in a moment. And you're going to fold them in half, and you're just going to trim them down a little bit. So by a little bit, I mean 1/8 of an inch. It just means that later when we put this all together, it just goes together easier and there isn't much of an overlap. So just on one of the sides along your 8-inch side, take off 1/8 of an inch. What I should also say is when you're cutting your paper down, don't throw any of it away. So as you can see here, I have all the scraps, and these will come in useful later for putting things like pockets in and waterfall parts. There we go. So now we have our 2 main folio pages. The one you've just cut that 1/4 of an inch off, we're going to open up, and this is going to become the base of our triangular pocket system. So because this is 8 inches, or whatever size inches your height of your album is, what you want to do is find out the height, and find the middle point. So at this point it is 4 inches, and what I'm going to do is just mark 4 inches with a pencil. 4 inches. And I'm literally just going to make a little dot 4 inches down, so I know roughly where halfway down the page is. And then what I'm going to do is, using that 4-inch spot as a guide, I'm going to go to the crease of my page and join up that dot. And then this we're going to cut off and keep this triangle. So again, I'm just going to bring my paper trimmer in. I did the original one without a paper trimmer. I did it with just a ruler and a pair of scissors, so that is also an option. And we're just going to line it up. Ooh. And cut it off. There we go. That's the triangle we just cut off, and the page we just did. As you can see here, I have a pencil mark, so I'm just going to get a pencil eraser and erase. What you should have done is cut the other side of the pencil, but it doesn't make that much of a difference at all. So as you can now see, when we stick this into the first folio, that's where our first pocket becomes, and then this second piece then becomes the second pocket. So there we go. Let me get this the right way around. Decide whether I want the pattern or I don't want the pattern. So there's two ways of options here. You can either do it this way, if you like the reverse image, and keep that as a pocket, or you can do it this way, make that a pocket. And I think I'm going to do it that way, so you'll have a pocket here and a pocket here. Simple as that. So all we're going to do to keep these pockets open is make sure when we glue these pieces together, we're just gluing the edges. So I'm going to use my liquid glue. You remember earlier I said that we cut 1/4 inch off of this when I'm putting the glue on now. That is so I'm just doing the edges, making sure you keep that top one open so it becomes a pocket. That is so that you don't have any bulk on this fold. So when you're doing this, just make sure you're lining up your edges this edge to the crease, and then the other edge should fold in nicely. So as you can see here, I've messed that up. So you can either reposition it or just get a craft knife and a ruler and trim off that excess. You'll always have a difference because you've taken 1/4 inch off of this, but the 1/4 inch just means that it folds nicely together. There we go. 1/4 inch just comes off here, just so it makes a nice little fold. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stick this again as a pocket. So we're going to glue down one side and the other side. And there you have the basis for your 2-pocket central folio. So where you go from here, there are a lot of options, mainly depending on the amount of paper you cut off the original sheet to what options you've got. In the one that I showed you that I've completed, or I'm completing, let me just untie it for you. I added a pocket to one side and a little waterfall feature on this side and a pocket, or you can just add 2 pockets, or you can add any interactive features really. So let's see what paper we've got to play with to make the decision. So I think what I'm going to do is just put in a wraparound pocket. So a wraparound pocket is as simple as it sounds. You don't even have to cut the pocket. You fold it in half and you'll have a pocket on the front and the back of your journal. Do I want to do that? Actually, no, I don't. So that is a wraparound pocket. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make a normal pocket on here. Just going to grab my pencil. I'm going to mark the width that this piece of paper needs to be to make my pocket. I'm just going to trim it down. This is my new paper trimmer and I am slightly obsessed. It is slightly too large. I need to figure out a way of using it in my craft space without it taking over. But we'll get there. I'm just going to trim this down to that little mark. Again, don't throw anything away if you don't know where it's going to come useful. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold, very straight cutting there as you can tell, I'm just going to correct that with a craft knife. Bear with me. I'm just going to use the grids on my map and a craft knife just to correct that. Just because it will annoy me. Not that you will see it at all. But it annoys me. So what we're going to do to make the pocket on here, so this is what we're aiming for, is you could either make just a flat pocket and just glue the 3 sides down. Nice and simple, no fuss at all there. Or you can make what they call a gusseted pocket, which means folding roughly 1/8 of an inch on either side. Again, you could do this with a scoreboard and a scoring tool. And then again, just on the bottom. And that will just give you a little bit more room into your pocket for putting thicker items in. And all we can do is run glue around all 3 sides of this. 1, 2, 3. And that easy to put a pocket in. And that gives you lots of space to put tags in or whatever you want to do. So obviously there's a little bit of wait time on liquid glue. You can use double-sided tape. With a little bit of pressure on that, it's not a problem. So then we need to decide what we want to do on this side here. I did a waterfall on this one, so we might do that again. Yeah, have we got enough? Yeah. Just going to grab my paper trimmer. What you need to do first is roughly figure out what size you want your waterfall pieces to be. So normally, this is 4.5-ish inches. So let's go 4 by 4, and I want 2 of them. Actually, no, 4 by 5, because we need to do it, make a little fold. So again, trim it out. Let's see what the width on this is. 4 anyway, and 5. That's 1, and 5. That's another. Look at that. I made those sizes up and they were spot on to the paper I had left. Again, this is very much a make up as you go along project. We're then on one end. Again, you could score this with a score tool if you want, but I'm just going to fold roughly 1/8 of an inch. Unfold. And I'm going to do exactly the same with this one at the top. 8, unfold. And we're going to bring this back in. This is going to become the little hinge mechanism. We're going to stick it down, and that will be what hinges our little pocket. So liquid glue just to that little hinge. Then figure out where you actually want it on your page. We're going to go in the centre to about there. I'm going to push that down, and that gives us our first little pocket. And then the second one I want to sit probably about there, so we've got 2 pockets. Although I want to go a little bit lower. No, let's do there. So what's the gap on that? About 1 inch? Yeah, about 1 inch gap between I've left here. But again, make it up as you go along. You've got your project in front of you. Liquid glue. And just place it where you want it. So try just lining up the edges of this one with the one above you. And there you have your waterfall element. And that is the basis of that journal we've just made. Quick, easy, no fuss. And you just go about decorating it. So here, as you can see, I've put some self-adhesive lace on. I've inked all of my edges. I've been messing around with just a piece of pink cardboard. I will add elements to this as we go along. The closure on this one is very, very simple. All I've done is make a hole with a hole punch, wrap some twine around it, and then put one piece of twine in front, one piece of twine behind, and then just tie those together. Simple, simple. So you literally need 2 pieces of paper, and that's it. So I will continue to embellish this, add items to this, and then I'll put some pictures up once I finished it. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and I will see you all soon. Bye!